And we are live. Hey everybody, this is Roberto Blake. Hope you create something awesome today. Welcome back to the channel. So today we have another workshop Wednesday here on the channel. So what we like to do is every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I try to go live. And what we do on the live streams is we actually do a little thing called Monetization Monday, Workshop Wednesday, and FAQ Friday, where I answer all your questions on Friday and dive into my analytics. And then what we do on, excuse me, on Wednesday is I do practical workshops around topics that you suggest to everybody. And today's topic is self-publishing on Amazon KDP. And I'm not just going to be sitting here talking to you on screen. I'm actually going to be sharing behind the scenes with you everything you need to know about self-publishing. And at the end, we will be doing timestamps at some point, but we're going to walk you through everything. I'm going to show you the back end of my Amazon payments dashboard and explain how that works. We're going to look at the Amazon Kindle bookshelf and the other books that I have planned and in the works and things like that, and how all that works, how it gets set up. And so this is really cool. In fact, we're going to even talk about some of the things that Amazon includes with the audiobooks. Like right now, they have this feature for an audiobook with a virtual voice. My preference is to have my own voice. We're going to look at Amazon's partner ACX, which is where I'm trying to work on my audiobook for Audible. And we'll give you kind of a sneak peek behind the scenes of how all of that works. So you're going to be learning a lot here. Hopefully everything you want and need to know. We're going to answer some of your questions. I'm going to talk to you all and teach you all about royalties and the Amazon payout system. I'm going to talk to you about buying your ISBNs with Bowker. I can answer a couple of questions about Ingram Spark because that's just a pain in the butt to log into right now. I'm going to show you guys the designer who did my book cover, and we'll walk through some of his portfolio and pricing breakdown. And I'll talk to you about why you just want to hire a designer. Even if you have a design background like me, it's better to hire a designer than doing it yourself. And so this is Marco. He did my book. He was a recommendation from my good friend Self-Publishing with Dale. I've gone to Dale's podcast. I'll have him on mine at some point. But as you see, Marco does good work. So I highly recommend him for doing the design and interior and promo stuff for self-publishing your book. He does excellent work. Excellent work does not come cheap. So, he's a pro on Fiverr, and you can see he has a lot of great ratings and reviews. We'll talk about how reviews work. Mine are all legit. No fake reviews here, partly because I'm cheap, but also because I'm ethical. We'll talk a little bit about how this whole thing with frequently bought together works and why that becomes important, the ranking and stats for your books in different categories, the keywords, all that good stuff, pricing. So I'll walk you through the general process of how I did my book, including working on the outline for my book, but we'll also look at all of this behind the scenes stuff and all of these dashboards, the real deal, and you really understand what's going on with self-publishing. So we're going to do that. Again, if you have questions in the live chat, if you're watching the workshop live, put a Q before your questions so I know what's up and I can answer them. Meanwhile, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. Let's shout out our sponsors that make these free workshops possible. We actually have a few of them. Let's see here. Where are my graphics? Where'd my graphics disappear to? I had my sponsor graphics and here they are. So thank you to our good friends at Streamyard for sponsoring the show and the live workshops. That's how we're actually able to do these live workshops on 6 different platforms right now. So we're on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, LinkedIn Live, Twitch.com, X.com, formerly Twitter, and Kick.com, with more platforms on my end coming soon. So we're going to be doing that. So shout out to our friends over at Streamyard. We're going to be repurposing the clips from this live stream so you can get them in digestible bites, thanks to our friends at OpusClip. Shout out to OpusClip. Links are in the description down below. And they're helping me repurpose my content across multiple platforms, my alternative highlights YouTube channel. And so we're posting highlights reels over there, and we're going to be posting highlights in Instagram and Facebook and Twitter as well. So make sure you're checking out OpusClip if you're into repurposing your content and scaling all your platforms. And finally, thanks to our friends over at Kajabi, who allow me to not have to just be a digital sharecropper and not have to split 30% on my membership platform with YouTube, and to be able to sell my own digital products and mini courses and more, and do my one-on-one coaching. So shout out to our friends at Kajabi. Free versions of all of these, trials for all these are linked in the description down below. So thanks to our wonderful sponsors. Now, going on with the workshop here. One of the things that I think is kind of important is I want to walk you through the process of how I did my book, both the physical book, the ebook, the hardcover edition, and how I'm going to be approaching the audiobook. So let me give you kind of a little bit of a rundown and some background on the self-publishing journey. I think one of the things that if you're going to write a book that is very important to do, and I wrote mine, by the way, before this whole ChatGPT hype came out. So I wrote my book myself by hand. Even with Grammarly's help, and even with the help of hiring an editor, River Chow, there's still some errors in terms of structure or spelling or grammar here or there. There's maybe like 12 errors in the whole book. The 2 bad reviews I have in Amazon won't let me forget it either. I hired an editor and they act like she doesn't exist. She's literally like in the Amazon byline, and they act like my editor didn't exist. But these things aren't perfect. For my second book, I have another older, more seasoned editor that I'm working with. I still feel like River did a great job for what she was working with and for the time constraints we had for my release date. But ultimately, I'm very satisfied with how the book came out. One of the things I think is important is to come up not only with a great title for your book, but a great outline for your book. And so for me, it was the chapters and the outlines that I came up with. And so my book has 20 chapters, but I also have something most don't have. I have an appendix, because if you're going to do educational or business self-help or personal development books or nonfiction books, I feel to some degree that an appendix can be incredibly powerful and very important for your book. And at the appendix place is basically where you, in my opinion, for me at least, I answered the most frequently asked questions that my audience can have and gave them like a 1-paragraph answer. And I think I did like maybe 16 questions in the appendix. So I did that. So for mine, there are about 20 chapters here, and I will list the chapters in my book for you. So chapter 1 is called The Creator Economy. Chapter 2 is called Build a Powerful Personal Brand. Chapter 3 is called No More Starving Artist. Chapter 4 is called Monetizing Your Creativity. Chapter 5 is called Value First Content. Chapter 6 is called Authenticity and Boundaries. Chapter 7 is called Creating a Community. Chapter 8 is called How to Stand Out and Be Noticed. Chapter 9 is Picking a Platform. Chapter 10 is Feeling Overwhelmed and Overworked. Chapter 11 is Imposter Syndrome. Chapter 12 is Consistency is King. Chapter 13 is Building $1 Million Creator Business. Chapter 14 is Collaborating and Networking. Chapter 15 is How to Pivot. Chapter 16 is Become Known. Chapter 17 is How to Deal with Criticism. Chapter 18 is Staying Motivated and the Creator Mindset. Chapter 19 is How to Deal with Failure. And chapter 20 is Revealing My quote unquote secrets as a full-time creator. So when you hear those chapters, I'm curious for those watching the replay in the comment section and those in the live chat right now, when you hear those chapters for my book, and my book is about being a content creator, it's called Create Something Awesome, How Creators Are Profiting from Their Passion in the Creator Economy. When you hear those chapters for my book, those 20 chapters, what does it make you feel about the book? What is just knowing that that's what I'm offering in the book? What does it make you feel about it? What does it make you feel the book is getting at? What do you feel like the goal for the book is? Because I feel that the reason that I get very good reviews in Amazon for this book, and this is important for the rest of you as self-published authors, I feel that the reason that the book gets very good feedback is because of the structure of the chapters, and because I feel that what the book doesn't do is doesn't sell you on the dream of becoming a content creator. for one thing, 4 or so chapters of the book are dedicated just to the mental health of creators, which I don't think in my industry is really addressed. So I feel like that the fact that 4 chapters specifically deal with just the experience and mental health of being a creator, for example, talking about authenticity and boundaries, talking about feeling overwhelmed and overworked, imposter syndrome, the concept of dealing with criticism straight up, the creator mindset, failure. That's about 4 or 5 chapters there, the mental health of the creator. And so I do feel like this is something that adds some substance to the book, and this was very important. Those chapters were an addition that came because I had something very important: early test readers. I had several early test readers. I think I had no less than 10 to 15 early test readers that were content creators, either full-time or aspiring. And 2 of those were my good friends, Audrey and Romina. So Audrey Ember and Red Romina are 2 of my creator friends. I've known them for a very long time. We have a text chat. We talk almost every week. We used to do a podcast together during the pandemic. And one of the important things when I was writing this book was I had them give me honest and sincere feedback. And a lot of the mental health chapters were added partly because of conversations I had with them, and then things that reminded me of that I would have wanted or needed to hear in my creator journey at some point, especially struggling through the pandemic. And so that became very important to me. So Lois Lenora says, Roberto, it makes me feel like it's a doable roadmap to develop myself as a creator and open my eyes to some realities of being a quality creator. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So the thing that I feel the book accomplished as well is I think it sets expectations with the outline itself, and that outline becomes the chapter structure. And I moved the chapters and the order of them around multiple times throughout doing this book. And so that became very important. By outlining the chapters, I also was able to do something important. I basically locked myself in a room and wrote the book in 100 days. I wrote my book in 100 days. I locked myself in a room and wrote every morning for 100 days straight. Some of you who follow me on Twitter remember I was doing, okay, I wrote this many words this week. I wrote this many words today. I'm up to this many words for the book now. Like, that was a whole thing that I did throughout the process of writing my book. And because I outlined the chapters, I was able to go into my Google Docs, into my Word doc, and I was able, whatever I was feeling that day, I could write that chapter that day. I could work on whatever chapter of the book I was feeling as self-contained chapters that still had a consistent through point and narrative structure throughout the book. The other format I took as an approach to the book is, since this was, you could call it business self-help, you could call it educational self-help, you can call it either of those things. And one of the things that I felt is important when I was doing this was talk about an example that my audience may or may not be familiar with of somebody else's success, tell a personal anecdote and story, also present information, statistics, or data of some kind, or some real world reference point that they could use, and also make sure every chapter has accurate, actionable advice in it. And this was important for me for every single chapter, to be able to tell you things you may or may not know about some of your favorite creators, not just for the sake of name dropping, but to reveal to you something that makes you feel less alone, and not just from my own perspective and journey, so that you have multiple dimensions to parse this through. And then to also give you some things that you can observe or find in the real world as a creator, and then some advice that seems to make sense when you add all of this together. So that was something that I felt was very important to me when I did this. So Aisha Rakima says, Roberto, I feel like the outline is laid out in a way that's very concise. I know exactly what information I'm going to get, and it's laid out in a doable way. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Bible and the Geek, Wendy says, the book I'm looking to write this time around, I don't want it to be more than 100 pages. 100-page books could be doable. It just depends on how you're approaching it. Deanne G. Kissing Frogs says, I think that just by the chapter titles alone, given a person looking to become a content creator, it's a great overview of the good, the bad, and the ugly being a creator. That was the goal. The goal was this could be the most realistic version of being a content creator. Was kind of my feeling, and my goal is the most realistic and down-to-earth book about being a content creator. That was kind of my goal, and something that feels like, okay, I understand this. This is doable. This is achievable. And I also did want to open up new people. I wanted this book to be something that, in an age where I knew where my market was, and that, okay, every 18-year-old seems to want to be a content creator right now. Every kid seems to want to be a content creator. What about my book would put a young person in a position to either present this as a legitimate opportunity to their parents? Hey, mom, dad, here's a book about being a content creator written by a successful content creator. This guy's almost 40. He's been doing this for a long time. Listen to what this guy has to say. I know I'm just a stupid kid. Listen to this guy. Same thing for a parent that wants to support their kid, is like, how do I support my kid? What is this? I don't understand this. I don't understand YouTube. I understand this TikTok thing. Like, being able, as a parent, I made this book so that parents could understand what their kids are getting into, because the children don't even understand how to articulate and explain what they're getting into. They don't know what to expect. This would enable a parent to say, all right, I'll be able to figure out whether this is a hobby or a career for my kid, and whether this is the right thing for them, and help them avoid mistakes and make sure that they're putting themselves in a position to have a good future, whether this works out or not. And maybe I'll know whether or not this is something they do to invest more time into. So for me, I had a vision for who my book helps, and that's what you should be doing. You should be looking at, who is my audience avatar for this book? What is the reality? What is the problems? Who does this book help? What problem does my book solve? And one of the things I wanted from my book was, I was like, okay, the creator economy is a new industry. How do I help legitimize this industry in the eyes of adults who are skeptical? And how do I make it realistic for kids who might be getting in over their head? That was the balance I wanted to strike. Now, for a lot of you, I need to know in the chat, who here is writing nonfiction, and then who is writing like fiction, fantasy? Let me know what type of book you're interested in writing and publishing in the comment section of the video. And if you're live in the chat, let me know in the live chat. But yeah, knowing your audience is the crucial piece of this. So knowing your audience is a crucial piece of this. Now, I published this book in 2022, I want to say. I think I published this book in 2022 in August. And since then, even though I have not been marketing or pushing aggressively, I've sold 3,000 units through Amazon, and I've sold a couple hundred more units through Ingram Spark, and I've sold maybe 500 or so units through Square on my own through events. So I've probably sold about 4,000 copies of the book. From a revenue standpoint, I can show you some stuff around that, but the royalties in Amazon are about $17,000 so far in royalties. I believe that if I count the Ingram royalties plus the sales from selling direct sales, I believe that it's well over 20,000, probably closer to 22, I want to say, probably 22,000, so not bad. I believe my cost involved with all of this is probably around 3,000. So this would at least probably represent pure profit altogether, to be honest with you. So very good. And then it breaks down, and you guys might be having a little trouble seeing this here. So it breaks all of that down, and then it breaks down the digital retail royalties versus the print. So I did about the same, all things considered, on that. And then in terms of orders of digital versus print, I did slightly more print orders than digital, and that worked out pretty well. The royalty situation is a 70-30 split after cost. Cost for ordering author copies is about $3.60 for me for paperback, a little bit more for hardcover. I have a paperback and hardcover. And like I said, I paid Marco here to do the book cover design, and I also had him do the interior not just the cover. He did the cover and the interior. I have a background in graphic design, but this was just going to be too much to take on and do everything else I need to do for the book. So I went with his premium package. I paid about $1,600 for that, and I've got all versions of the book done, print, Kindle, audio cover, 3D mock-up, social media kit. I got all the source files included, everything. So I paid a pretty penny for that. Then I also paid, for having it edited by River. So with that, with River Chow editing it, Marco doing the design, like I said, all in for cost. And then some printing a bunch of them for myself. Again, about $3,000 all in, but I made enough profit to where I probably made somewhere between $18,000, $20,000 profit. And this is my first real self-published book where I went did all the things, right? I also had to buy my own ISBNs now. Amazon can provide you ISBNs, but I bought my own. So I bought I think I bought a 10 bundle. You need one for every format. So for me, it was hardcover, paperback, the audio version that's virtual audio that I did with Google. I'm doing something similar possibly until I finish the voice for my version with Amazon for Audible because they're offering that. I want to at least test it out possibly, but I'll do a version that's actually my recorded voice at some point. The other version, Kindle, ebook, paperback, hardcover. So I used a couple of these ISBNs. I prefer to own my own ISBN versus using Amazon's. With me knowing that I'm going to be doing so many more books in the future, I'm probably going to end up buying 100 ISBN bundle pretty soon. So that's going to cost a pretty penny, but totally worth it for me just because I'm going to keep writing books. In the Amazon bookshelf, you can see some of the stuff I have planned. These are not final designs of the cover. These are just my mock-ups of the cover to be able to work on stuff in the back end. But I have a trilogy planned for my book series called the Creator Economy Insider Series. That's also why I made this playlist in YouTube, and I have it in the YouTube audio podcast in this way. My actual more regular podcast where I do interviews is actually called Create Something Awesome Today podcast. So I actually wanted to tie the brand to the podcast and the book. I had that plan all along. So really cool. I have this really old Kindle ebook that I tried doing way back in the days of my first experiment into Amazon stuff. So that kind of set me up for some understanding of how all this works. Now, there's a new feature in Amazon where you can actually add an audiobook with virtual voice, which is basically where it will take everything that you already done and it will use Amazon's backend to generate an audiobook using a virtual voice and virtual studio for you. So I technically can get an audiobook for Audible that way from this. And this is a beta that Amazon is doing. So this is new. This wasn't available before. Now, most of you I know want my audiobook in my voice. So I am still working on that. So for that, and I hope you guys will be able to hear this on your end. Let me know in the chat if you're able to hear this. But I actually have the back end here of Audible for you. And you can even kind of hear the initial things I have set up for the playback on this. So I'm going to play what the sample of the audiobook could be like. And I want you to tell me if you guys can hear it.
What is the creator economy? This is a fair question for anyone who might be reading this book on a whim or is unfamiliar with my content. Let's start with a straightforward explanation of what it means to work as a content creator and how creators make their living. A content creator uses online platforms to create content through video, audio, images, or writing, typically hoping to earn money from sharing that content. Generally, these creators use popular online platforms such as TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, or Twitch to create content and grow an audience that will support them. They earn money through various means, including revenue sharing with the platforms, direct donations from their fans, selling products such as merchandise or digital downloads, or promoting brands in exchange for payment.
Now, here's the thing. That's not audio voice cloning. That's just me trying really hard and then recording that using Adobe Audition and then cleaning it up to upload it to Audible. So that is what I'm going for with my version of the audiobook. And Wendy's asking, Roberto, will you do a follow-up on recording an audiobook? Yeah, at some point. My goal with my regular videos on the channel is, one, I want to get back to a lot of tutorials. I want to get back to a lot of how to process videos for you on the YouTube channel. I want to do stuff about how to record a podcast and show you guys a walkthrough tutorial for that for Adobe Audition. I want to do it for Audacity so you can do it for free. Maybe I'll even show you guys how to do that sort of thing in like record yourself in Descript. I want to make some videos about screen recording for you guys. I want to get back to some of the technical aspect of making content and improving making content and using your tools. So I want to make tutorial content for you guys again. I want to go back to my roots. I want to make tutorial content for you guys again and show you the fundamentals for how to make these things, not just how to grow an audience, but how to make the content for growing the audience, how to make the products from scratch to sell to an audience, how to do those things. I want to do more tutorial content for sure. I want to talk to you guys about hardware for live streaming, lighting gear, lighting tutorial, how to do the lighting for green screen. I want to go back to some of those basic things and help you just actually literally make better stuff that looks, sounds good, and is packaged well, more Photoshop tutorials. So, I want to go to that. Jameson C. Montgomery says, hey, Roberto, any good budget-friendly companies that create a physical copy of your book? Actually, Amazon creates a physical copy of your book. It costs zero upfront money to create the physical copies of your book or to publish on Amazon. The reason it cost me like $3,000 is because I wanted a professional graphic designer to do all of the design work based on the sketches and fonts and requirements and branding that I gave him. I wanted someone else to do it so I could focus only on my writing. If you want to do the design or use a template system to do your stuff for your book covers, your internal design, and you want to use a template, then it'll cost you $0 to publish your own book, and you can go to pure profit and pay nothing up front to Amazon and go pure profit and do print on demand with Amazon. That's why people use Amazon KDP. It doesn't have to cost you anything. You don't have to buy an ISBN from Bowker. You can get it from Amazon and everything, but I don't like giving these platforms control of things. You know me, I'm a control freak. So much so. That's why I will spend more money than you guys on a lot of these things, is because I'm a control freak. But if you want to do it at $0, you can literally do all of this yourself and use templates and things like that. And you can do it all at $0. It doesn't have to cost you anything, but you will have to do all of the work by yourself and accept the level of quality that comes from you doing everything by yourself. I wanted to make you guys the best quality product that I knew how to. And so I wanted to pay and invest money and resources, which I have because you guys have supported me so long. So I had the ability to trust in that and know that I would make the money back and that you guys would support me. So that was a big deal. For me, I want the control of every part of the product experience. It's even why, again, it's taken me so long to do an audiobook, is because I'm being a perfectionist about it. But, as you can see here, I even plan, this isn't fully done because I'm actually going to add 4 more chapters to the audiobook. Later, those chapters will update and push to the Kindle people. And then so now the people who bought the print book get left behind. I'm going to publish the extra chapters on the internet for free. The 4 extra chapters or 5 extra chapters, I'll publish them on the internet for free, just so that anybody who bought a physical book, the first round, doesn't feel left out when I update the book. Because I think that's fair. People paid up front. They should get all the content that I intend for them to have. Even if I improve upon the book and product, new chapters can be given away for free. Those things also are a great lead magnet to get people who've never heard of the book to buy the book. So it works out for me. So no problem doing that. For those chapters, I'll probably end up also doing a live reading on my YouTube channel of those chapters. And then people understand what else is in the book. More people will buy it. So it's things like that. But they have formatting guidelines that you have to meet for the audio quality. So when you record the audio, even if you're not doing it in a studio and you're doing it at your house, you want to have a good microphone, or you want at least use software to clean it up. Now with AI, you can use Adobe's audio enhanced software that they use for podcasting. It's free, and you could run samples and pieces of your audio through that, as long as it's not an hour long. For each chapter, it shouldn't be an hour long. So you should be able to do that for free. Get your chapters optimized and get the audio, like basically perfect quality audio, and then upload each chapter to ACX for your audio file. This ties over to Audible and Amazon, and it'll link it all together, and you'll get your royalties. And once they audit it and submit for review, they'll be able to price it and say, okay, this is going to be like, you can charge up to this amount for this audiobook because it's this long, has this quality, so on and so forth. So, okay, $15 for you, $20 for you. You can go up to $30, price that how you want, blah, blah, blah. And so that ends up being, really a good deal there. Ayiska says, can you go back and buy your own ISBN for the book later on, or is it you use Amazon, it's set in stone? That's a good question. I'm not quite sure if I remember, but I do believe that you can go back if you have your own ISBN and link it to there. At least, but after you publish it, maybe not. Maybe not after you publish, but I'd have to check. James says, and you made it great quality. Thank you, sir, for the response. Yeah, no problem. A Wild Rose says, awesome. Thanks, Roberto. I'm in traffic right now, but super grateful for this kind of content. Definitely going to catch the replay. Thank you, Replay Squad. So Right Mix for Business by Suanne says, hey, Roberto, Mark Schaefer just wrote about using voice cloning for his own voice for his newest book, and it passed as his just fine for Audible. Says he was surprised how much it sounds like him and a time saver. Hey, maybe that's the direction I go in, or I do a mix and match. Maybe I do a mix and match. We'll see. Deanna says, would love some more tutorials from you. You make it so much easier than a lot of people just seem to fumble through things. Yeah, no, tutorials are almost the only content that I script. Tutorials are almost the only content so I script, so I try to do that. Davida says, I've been watching for your freelance graphic design videos. Thanks. I'm going to do more freelance videos, but rather than being focused on graphic design, they're going to probably be closer focused on freelance video editing and freelance writing these days, but I probably will still dabble in some freelance design videos. But I'm probably going to talk about freelancing more holistically, but more of my examples are probably going to be video editing, podcast editing, and freelance writing, because I haven't tackled those in the past, and it'll let me expand my range of people that I can reach. So yeah. Wendy says you can put your own ISBN after you publish with Amazon. They have instructions on how to do that. Thank you so much, Wendy. So it's always great to have another author in the house. I love one of the things about our workshops in our community is that when you guys ask questions, you also feed back to the community and you answer things even if I can't. So we have a great community here that's very smart, very experienced. And when I can't answer something, I'm glad that some of you in the chat can hold it down. So that's always awesome. Thank you so much, Wendy. Wendy actually, and Lois and Wendy are actually two of the members of Awesome Creator Academy. They're in the pro group. So thank you to you guys for holding it down. Home Rapid Repair. Hey, Larry. Roberto, I did see your book in the Audible app, or was that the podcast? It was my podcast. I actually made sure that my podcast is also in Audible. That way, when you search for me, you can get my book in all of its formats, and you can get the podcast. That was an intentional choice on my part. So that's something that I was working on. I also intend to also probably start releasing workbooks along these things, or a workbook series. I know that workbooks are going to do well, and workbooks are a form of low content books, and those do well. My friend Amy Landino did well with hers as companion books. So I'm looking forward to doing something like that as well for each of these books. I have a whole Creator Economy Insider trilogy planned. I feel like this one launches you being a content creator and building your personal brand. The second book is really focused on the monetization and making money aspect. So it's really that the second book is really, there's three big themes in it. It's marketing yourself. It is, and that becomes important for raising and elevating your brand and doing UGC and getting brand deals and doing a lot of things, but it's marketing yourself effectively, and really doing the marketing and branding side. It's the monetizing and how to do that in different ways, but also on different platforms. And that's also managing your business and even your team and those financial assets and resources. So it's that book has been coming along. I think I'm halfway through it. There's a lot of revisions that I'm working on for some of the direction of that book, but that one is really strong. And that one is, I believe, what is the title that I'm using for that, or the working title? The working title for that is, let's see. The working title for that is, oh, I think I changed the working title because right now I still have it, The Secrets of Full-Time Content Creators Revealed. I think I might have changed my direction on that creator economy book. What was my new subtitle for that? Because I may have changed my mind about what that subtitle of that book is. Because the title, The Creator Economy, is correct, but the subtitle may be different. And originally the third book was going to be called No More Starving Artist, but I don't feel like it was punchy enough. So I changed that third book to The Creator Manifesto. And I think that one right now, I think that subtitle may be correct, with that third book being How to Build a High Value Content Strategy and Become a Full-Time Content Creator. I think that that one is the right one. And the subtitle is partly for SEO, but it also tells you exactly what and why the book is. And like, okay, because that book is more focused on the understanding of building content strategy. So the first book, I feel, deals in the holistic idea and introduces the idea of being a creator, but also building an authentic personal brand and building some level of authority. So I like it for that. That's also why I'm going back and adding 5 chapters to kind of round out that messaging, 4 or 5 chapters. Then this one is really about being a full-time content creator. I think I did change the subtitle for that. I'll look into what I might have changed the subtitle to here for you. Maybe it's in my Google Doc. It'd almost certainly be in my Google Doc, if anything. Let's see. The Creator Economy, how to, I think it might be The Creator Economy. I might change this word from The Creator Economy, how to grow your reach, reputation, and revenue as a full-time content creator. That is what I believe the title, the full title is now for the second book is, yeah, The Creator Economy, how to grow your reach, reputation, and revenue as a full-time content creator. So like even now, if I wanted to go back, if I wanted to go and continue in draft mode and set this up, I'm going to change that headline right there. So one of the things on the back end I'll get to show you is like when you are building out your book, these are kind of the things that it looks for here. So it's part of a series, and it's in the Creator Economy Insider series. Until I finalize things with my new editor, I would go in here and I would add my editor. If I have someone like my friend Pat Flynn do a forward, I would add his thing here for the forward. You know, you list your publishing rights, whether or not it's explicit content. You can update your categories, and now you can choose 3 categories that match the Amazon store categories. So I choose these. If it lets me get another one, then a third one, then I'm definitely going to add that. And we can look for that. So there are some keywords here that I chose. Content creators, creator economy, YouTube, podcasting, social media, influencer marketing. I felt like those were strong keywords to choose. There are technically ways you can expand the number of keywords, but usually for me, that would be like sufficient. You can also schedule a release date for your book, usually around a year in advance, so on and so forth. So this is what draft mode looks like for doing stuff for your book. So I'm going to save as draft, and it's going to update those things. So that's how I can update and change my subtitle to what it should be. How many words do I currently have for the second book? Word count. Right now I'm at, I know I have another thing here somewhere, but right now it says that I'm at about 16,000 words for this book. I know I'm actually further along than that. So I know I might have another draft of it somewhere, but yeah, but I don't think for releasing next year, I don't think 16,000 words is bad. The book's probably going to be about 45 to 50,000 words, I would think. So, you know, I think that's dope. I more or less kind of sort of have an outline for it right now that I'm probably going to end up revising, if I'm being honest. And it's probably going to be somewhere between, it's probably going to be about 25 chapters at this rate. It looks that way. So, yeah. So that's kind of like the direction that things are heading. And that's kind of about right for me in terms of the length of book for me to be able to convey my ideas. And I think that's a solid book. I mean, this, it gets you, 40,000, and this is a pretty solid book. It's a little thicker than some of my friends' books. I don't think it's as thick as Daryl Leaves. I think Daryl Leaves has the most robust one. And maybe my friend Pat Flynn with his book Superfans. Let's see. We've got some chat here. How to market a book that keeps returning customers. Thanks. So I think that one, picking a relevant audience and market where the market will grow. If you write books in a market that grows, then you can definitely do that. The other thing is to keep hype around your book. You might even want to consider finding a budget. One of the things I feel like I did really well was produce the book. In terms of marketing, I'm a marketer, but I don't feel like I gave it the full court press in terms of marketing and pre-orders and such. And I think I could have done that. I did get to #1 in my category for several weeks. I go and shoot up to there every now and again. Every couple of weeks, I shoot back up to #1 or #5 or #10. So that's great in my categories. What I will say about this is I think in terms of things you could do, when it comes to effective marketing for your book, several things. One, pre-order strategy is key, and trying to get as many pre-orders as you can. So having your own email list, having your own social medias, having the mock-ups, plugging it, doing things like that. The other thing is podcast cycle. So like 3-5 months before the book comes out, podcast cycle, go on other people's podcasts in your industry, in your niche, like go on everything, be everywhere, talk it up, make it a big deal, make it hype, do all of that. Put together a website landing page or micro page for the book, drive up pre-orders, drive up those pre-order numbers. That's going to be huge. I would say it might be worth doing some stuff in Goodreads to get early reviews by doing giveaways of your book when it releases, printing some advanced copies and giving them to influencers so they could read it, so that there's the potential for early hype, early reviews, good feedback, things like that. If you're in a market like young adult or fantasy or fiction or romance, you might want to send it off to some editors, and give them an early read as well, just so that you're on their radar and they can have flattering things to say about you. Sometimes in those circles it matters, or it matters for bookstores picking it up, things like that. So in terms of marketing in that way, one of the things that's not talked about, one of the things that in the new version I'm definitely doing is put a QR code in your book that gets people onto your newsletter and email list. That way, every reader for your physical book and your ebook becomes a newsletter subscriber, and you have direct access to them as well. So that's actually incredibly important and a new tactic that a lot of people are not using. We out here making QR codes great again, y'all. So use something like Genius Link so that you have dynamic control of the URL. If you need to change it for some reason, or needs to change your website hosting or something, you can change it dynamically on the back end with Genius Link if you need to. So that, I think, is a really important hack for a lot of you. When you do your outline for your book, don't just write the outline, write short, medium, and long versions of the description of your book, or a synopsis of your book, and things like that. Also consider things like how, again, I had a great designer that we coordinated on the back cover and what we wanted, and I sketched out what I wanted from him. And in this case, I wanted to highlight these things of what you're going to get from this book. Get started, monetize your content, build your audience, become a full-time content creator. Those were things I know people in my audience would care about. And so being able to say, this is what you're going to be able to accomplish as a result of this book, I felt was like very important, or possibly accomplish as a result of this book. So I felt that was important. And again, my book for its category does really well. I have a lot of great ratings. I have a lot of great reviews. Like I said, my worst reviews are people nitpicking and pretending my editor doesn't exist just because maybe they feel like she didn't get everything perfect for them, as, you know, the grammar police out here. So, you know, the spelling police and everything like that. You know, bunch of would-be content cops out here. But the people who only commented on the substance of my book were satisfied with the substance of my book. There are a couple of people in Goodreads that they don't really have a problem with the book, but it's like, not for me, so I rate it lower. It's like, well, if it's not for you, why'd you buy the book? Like, but you know, it's things like that. Like, I think I got a 3-star rating that's like, oh, this isn't for me, but my husband loves the hell out of it. It's like, so why are you the one rating me 3-star? If your husband loves it, why isn't he here giving me the 5-star? What are you doing? You know, so it's things like that. You can't control how readers decide to rate books, not really. And that's fine and that's fair. But, you know, if you go to my reviews, overwhelmingly positive reviews, and I'm happy with these. These are about normal for the books in my category among my friends. And even with my reviews, I managed to avoid the majority of criticisms that books in my category tend to get. So, you know, you want to think about those things. When it comes to the marketing side, don't forget advertising in the marketing side. I didn't do some heavy advertising budget, but you could do that if you feel it would help you to some degree. So just something to think about. Davida says, hey, Roberto, I'm a self-taught graphic designer since 2003. Now I use Canva and I sell edible digital branding templates I create from scratch. Congratulations. Good for you. Awesome. Yeah, and you've been watching me from back in the graphic design and freelancer videos. The Game Master LLC says, had a coworker asking me about how to self-publish. Now I will have a video to share. Yes, she will. Yes, she will. Wendy asked, Roberto, do you believe in publishing many short books in order to capitalize on the Amazon platform, releasing a book every 30 days? I think that's excessive. A book every 30 days is way too excessive. This is one of those instances where Roberto is going to say quality over quantity. Now, I think that workbooks, not every 30 days either. No, workbooks, I think, are great to build your back catalog off of a book that you've written. Writing a workbook or a companion book of some kind. I think having a series of appropriate but useful low content books can be good. I think some short books, which I'm thinking of writing, is once I really focus on this trilogy, or sometimes maybe in between it, I think I'm going to write a series possibly from time to time in between it. There are going to be some very thin but very focused books. Like, I could write a book. I don't need to write 40,000 words on how to successfully crush it with brand deals. But could I write a legitimate book for you guys that doesn't have to be as thick or as fancy, that's maybe 20,000 words, half of the thing, and give you great information about brand deals? Could I do that? Can I write a 20,000, 18,000 thin book on brand deals and give you the real nitty gritty on brand deals and make you feel confident that this was worth it as a book? Absolutely. Can I write a 18,000, 22,000 word book on passive income and how to actually do it legitimately and what the foundational pillars of that look like? Yes, I absolutely could do that. Could I write a book on building, six-figure online business and do that and make it 18, 20,000 words, make a thin standalone book? Yes. If I were doing those books, I'd probably only be able to release one of those like 2 of those a year or 1 of those a quarter if I'm doing these small micro books, or if I did them in trilogy sets, if I did them as trilogies, if I make them about 18,000 words, I could probably do them 3 a year at best. I would not try to do anything 90 days. Now, what I could do is I could write 2 or 3 books like that a year. And maybe if I could justify those having workbooks, then that gives me a workbook to release with them. And that would give me 6 units a year. But I think that's excessive. I probably wouldn't take it that far. So again, quality over quantity. Now, the reason I might do 3 of them at once like that is maybe I do that partly for releasing a set of books or a trilogy. Like, primary example is I could see myself saying, okay, what if in 1 year, in between writing books in 1 year, I dropped a thinner, smaller book, and one of it was brand deals, one of it was affiliate marketing, and the other one was on memberships. Now, why would I do that? Because those give me 3 important books around monetization that are niche specific, that say, hey, instead of me writing a chapter in a book that I did about monetization, let me just give you a whole book, but it's like half the size, but it's only covering, or it's even a fourth of the size, but instead it's a whole book. Instead of giving you 1 chapter in a book about a monetization method, let me give you a 10 or 12 chapter book just about that one type of monetization. Let me take a chapter that I had in a book and turn it into a smaller book and go in depth and give you some like real meat on just that exclusive topic, right? So that's how I can see myself writing very much in the long term, in the future, is taking either sections of a book and then rewriting entire new books around those things. Primary example, I do want to collaborate with some creators that are mental health professionals and get them to co-author with me a book, like have them be contributors, which also lends me some more legitimacy. Have them be contributors to a book with me and other content creators, a book that I head up that might be around the mental health aspect of being a creator. So I want to do a book that's more, okay, here's the mental health focus book for being a creator. Here is another book that might have anecdotes donated and dedicated by 6- and 7-figure creators, where I curate it, where I talk about stuff, but maybe I have a book where I curate and I have 10 or 12 of the most successful creators that you guys would know, curate and dedicate a chapter or half a chapter each about their own story and their own come up in a book about content creators and success and being a full-time content creator and building your brand online. So then, oh, this isn't just Roberto. This is, oh, wow, I know this person. Like maybe I get somebody, if I could, like maybe I get someone like Marquez. Maybe I get someone like A Drive. Maybe I get somebody like iJustine. Maybe I get some of these large Casey. Maybe I get some larger creators in my ecosystem, or from my interviews with these people, I then put that into a collection in a book. And then if I can get them to contribute or read a chapter that I wrote around them or something like that for the audiobook. So I would try to do a bigger project, but that's later after I finish my trilogy, right? But that might be a smaller standalone book that just focuses on, 10 or 12 chapters around creator success. Okay, maybe I do a book that is about mindset. And so then maybe it's, mental health, mindset, success. And that may be its own smaller trilogy of very light books by comparison to these 20 chapter tomes. Maybe those are 12 chapter tomes. And then that lets me release a bunch of those back to back. But not every one of those, I don't know that they would need a workbook. So again, I think that it's excessive to really release a book every 30 days. Now, something I would tell you is if you want to write something fiction or something entertaining, that the Kindle novella program is actually really interesting. And so making money off that is kind of like monetizing with YouTube and making content that people can come and consume, and then basically getting paid for reads the way you get paid for views. So if I was going to like constantly put out stuff like that, then that's the direction I would go in. So the lady right says Booksprout is good for reviews too. Okay, I might have to look into that. That's a great idea. Yeah, You guys love the QR codes. Yep. Eula McPherson says, hey, Roberto, great info tonight as usual. Are you also going to upload your books onto Google Play Books? Actually, I've already done that. So that's one thing I forgot to open up. But yeah, I did upload to Google Play Books. And that's actually where the virtual AI audio version of my book that's not my voice comes from. Jared Kaufman says, Roberto, question, do you write your book in a Word doc, save as PDF, and then upload the manuscript onto Amazon KDP? Or is there a different process for writing the actual book? Okay, great question. So my process was I wrote everything as a Word doc, then I exported as a PDF, and Google Doc. Then I gave it to my editor, got the revised Google Doc from my editor. So my process was, okay, write the thing in Google Docs. I did my first round of editorial. Me and Grammarly did my first round of editorial. In hindsight, now that I'm aware of something called Hemingway, I might have done that. Now, I would even consider using, to some degree, while I would not use ChatGPT to write my book, I'm not against using ChatGPT as an editor for your book. So while I'm against using ChatGPT to write your book, I have no problem with you using AI tools or ChatGPT for the following. I have no problem with you using it to help you come up with the best title for your book and say, here's my title idea or my subtitle idea, generate 8 variations from me to pick from. I need some help or some suggestions or other ways I can word this. So I have no problem with you using ChatGPT for that. I have no problem with you throwing a summary or a headline or something into ChatGPT to say, hey, make this more concise or say this, but in active voice and with more authority. I have no problem with you doing that and then going, okay, now I'm going to manually rewrite that. No issues there. I don't want ChatGPT writing anyone's books, and that's also against terms of service. And again, I had to do this before ChatGPT was like open for everybody and out of beta. And today I'm even writing I'm writing my book without ChatGPT right now. What I would tell you for my second book, what I would tell you though, is I have no problem once you've written your book of having one of the first rounds of editing besides you going with Hemingway or Quillbot or Grammarly to help you with your own revisions and your editing. I have no problem with you exporting a PDF, uploading your PDF to the paid version of ChatGPT, and then asking it to go through and do your editing for you and do your revisions for you and address things like grammar, structure, tone, spelling, and so on and so forth, and point those things out to you. And then you go back and then you manually do those things and tweak it again and again. I don't mind you doing those things before handing off to a copy editor. That doesn't bother me at all. I think it could be very good for that. I still think paying for a manual copy editor is great. Not everyone has the budget that I have, though. So if you can't afford a copy editor, and you're going to self-publish and do it on your own, and you're maybe even just starting with an ebook before going to print or something like that, I think that it could be okay and I find it to be ethical to use ChatGPT to be a copy editor. That wouldn't bother me at all. But I'd love to know your opinions or what you guys think of that. So again, my process was I wrote it all in a Google Doc, got that to my editor, River. She got me back her revisions. I then take that, and then I got that over to Marco, the graphic designer. He then did the internals and made the versions of this for the type of document, the EPUB document, also the KDF document. The file type that Amazon needs for Kindle specifically is not the same as it does for other e-readers. So I need an EPUB version. I need a KDF. So I need a Kindle Direct file. So I need KDF and I need EPUB, and then also the appropriate PDF with all of the information and design for the hardcover version and for the paperback version with the size parameters, dimensions, and paper type in mind. So that was important for me. And so we did that. He also gave me the cover design files, both PDF, JPEG, and PNG. And so when those were properly uploaded into the file format for Amazon, then I had Amazon send me the print samples. Same thing for Ingram. And so I had Ingram and Amazon send me the appropriate sample files. I then signed off on those. And then we went to publish, we went to print on them. And so that's how that takes place. After Amazon reviews and approves everything, same thing for Ingram, reviews and approves everything. That's all she wrote. That's how that gets done. Yeah, the lady right says series that are linked by a goal or a theme always go over well. Yes, that's also why with the Creator Economy Insider series, think about this. I get to dominate for the word, the creator economy, and then tie it to myself and to my brand at a high level because I incorporate it into all 3 of my major book titles for my trilogy. And it's the name of the trilogy itself. And it brands to the name of my newsletter because my newsletter is the Creator Economy Insider. So think about it. My first book, Create Something Awesome, ties to the Create Something Awesome Today podcast brand that I built. And the book series ties to the Creator Economy Insider, which was the branding of my newsletter, my email newsletter community. So boom. And so now I win. And that also, again, ties me holistically to this overall brand. Stephanie Garcia, good to see you. Another one of my lovely collaborators. Actually, I'm working on the Ultimate Social Media Guide as a collaborator and contributor with Stephanie Garcia and some other great folks from entrepreneur.com. So that's actually something I'm working on. Turning interviews into a book is such a time saver. Yeah, no, that's something that I'm really looking forward to. And I think there's so many benefits. For example, if you do a collaboration or you turn interviews from a podcast into a book, you get to highlight and promote those guests again. You get those guests to have you on their show or on their thing, or they can say, hey, I'm in a book. This is the book I'm in. And so you get all this great promo. So yes, turning interviews into a book is not only a time saver, but turning interviews into books also helps you with let's see, it helps you with credibility. It helps you with borrowed credibility from other people's brand. It helps you, depending on those people's credentials, with even more reach and legitimacy. It also helps you with promo and reach. It also attracts their audience. It also helps you with SEO. So there's a lot of benefits to, one, collaborative books, and to interviews that become books. There's a lot of benefit to that. Davia says, yes, low content books niche sell a lot on Amazon. Yes, I do agree. But I think there's an ethical way to do them. And I think workbooks are a big part of that. Aisha Rakima says, never heard about the Kindle Novella program. That sounds interesting. Yeah, it is interesting. Will you have a version of Audible with your voice? Yes, actually, I have a sample of what that's going to come out like here. I was playing it earlier for people, but yeah, this is what that will be like.
It's now possible for any otherwise ordinary person to earn a livable income by talking about their thoughts on sports, media, or politics, playing video games via live stream, or reviewing beauty products. Some creators earn substantial incomes ranging from $50,000 a year to millions of dollars a year. This is the creator economy, and if you're reading this book, you have the opportunity to be part of it. I'm not sure people understand how much the world has changed in the last few years.
Boom. So yeah, so that's what the audiobook is going to sound like, and that's my voice, and it's not even an AI. There may be chapters where maybe we're going to try and see if my AI cloning could work for voice, because then I can get the audio out sooner for you. And so if that works, maybe. But if not, I'll just literally just drink all of the throat coat tea I need to and power my way through the audiobook. Jameson says, Roberto, I'm loving this discussion. You may have answered this. Do you plan on using your own voice for the audiobook or hire someone? Yeah, I'm using my own voice because my audience expects my voice, and that's my thing. So, yep. Right. Mix for business. Suan says, I've edited for several self-published writers. Fun. Yep. Inspirational Kidney Health Coach says, Hey, Roberto, I have another book ready now, so this is timely. Hired a Fiverr editor 2 weeks ago, didn't work out well. Still need one more reader. Yeah, that might be a thing. And this is, again, where maybe the thing that AI does is I don't think AI should be writing your books, but as a companion, it could be a good copy editor. It could be a great copy editor. So maybe upload your manuscript, give it parameters in ChatGPT. If I was writing a ChatGPT protocol for being a copy editor, I might say, I need you to act in the role as a copy editor that has over 25 years of experience editing professional manuscripts for publication. You are specialized in, and in my case, it'd be nonfiction books. This one is in the blah, blah, blah niche. And I need you to specifically look at things like structure, continuity, consistency, tone, spelling, grammatical, and structural errors, and make me aware of them and make the appropriate revisions to the parts of my manuscripts, highlight the page, section, paragraph, and the specific paragraph where the corrections need to be made, and show those errors, mistakes, highlights to me. Also, when reviewing the book, give me a summation of your overall thoughts as to whether the book is well written. Grade me on a scale from 0 to 100 on how well my manuscript actually reads. And then that would be the prompt that I would write for something like ChatGPT on ChatGPT 4, or if we get to 5, and then I would upload the PDF, have it analyze it, play the role of my copy editor. Then I would get its feedback and say, oh, hey, this is great. What other thoughts would you have in your role as a copy editor about what I should do to optimize this book to be the best that it can be? And then it would tell me those suggestions, and I would then think from that perspective. So the thing is, I do think that ChatGPT could be a good copy editor. I think it could be a good first glance reviewer of things for your book or aspects of your book. I think it can help you with outlines. I think it can help you with titles for your book. And so I think that using it in the capacity of having a copy editor or test reader could be beneficial for a lot of you. I don't think it should write your book, but for helping with copy editing and with suggestions and feedback and revisions, absolutely. Deanne King says, I know this workshop is about KDP, but what is the difference between Ingram Spark and KDP? Glad you asked. Most people buy books on Amazon, bottom line. Ingram gives you greater overall distribution beyond what Amazon does or claims to, meaning your book becomes more readily available in individual bookstores, more easily ordered there versus Amazon. And the individual bookstores tend to get a better deal on their orders. They also can return books that don't sell and things like that, which is lower risk for those individual shop owners. So that's a good way to do that. The other thing that Ingram does is you get more distribution into things like Barnes & Noble and Walmart and, Target, for example. So that would be a reason that some people do. Let's see. So I'll give you a primary example. Because of Ingram, like my book is actually available in Target. No one's reviewed it from Target, but yeah, boom. My book is in paperback in Target. And that's because of Ingram. So that would be one of those principal differences. The other thing is the reporting for Amazon, I find to be very good. Ingram's, even with the updates, is an archaic pain in the butt website that looks like it's from 1996 because it probably is. So that's really annoying when it comes to Ingram. Amazon is well known. It's convenient and very fast on approval and review of things. So yeah. I would say quality consistency between the samples I order from both came out equally well or fine. You could argue that Ingram's might be slightly better in quality sometimes, especially for the hardbacks. So that's something you could think about. But yeah, that's about it on the differences. Maybe at some point I'll make a chart or something about the differences. Jameson says, Roberto, would you agree that it's more lucrative to make tons of book sales once you have a larger audience on YouTube? Instagram feels like a prerequisite. Actually, I don't feel like it's a prerequisite. I feel like the actual best way to make the most book sales is to go on to other people's podcasts. I don't think it matters if you have a large audience yourself. I think the best thing for pre-orders is your own email list. So I think your own email list is good. I think you can build those lead magnets for an email list with paid advertising or other methods. I don't think you need a big YouTube channel or Instagram or X or TikTok or anything. I think the best thing to get sales for your book is to go onto a podcast. Disproportionately, I think that. I also think that for a lot of you, you could just have a budget and do a little bit of influencer marketing. And I also think giving advanced and early copies to booktubers and book talkers would be beneficial. Also, becoming a co-author on other people's books means that now you can be algorithmically associated with them in Amazon when your book comes out. So being featured in other people's books, being a co-author or contributor to other people's books, that can help you too, because then in your author credits in Amazon or your name association, there's now a bridge there. Yeah, when the audio comes out, it's going to be good. Yeah, because it'll be my voice and you guys will like hear it and it's my voice, my cadence, my inflection. So I think that's going to be, a thing. So once that's ready, now, again, I'm going to have all the throat coat tea in the world to power through this. But yeah. Jameson says, not only are you a great content creator, Roberto, you have a great business acumen. I appreciate the live streams. These live streams are worth more than I've seen online. Yeah, my goal with my live streams, believe it or not, is that I think my 2 hour to 3 hour live streams are probably the equivalent of some people's 2 to 4 hour courses or 4 to 8 hour courses. And that's kind of the goal. And that's how also, when I start releasing larger courses that are like multi-hour courses and not just $99 courses, when I release like $500 courses, that they're going to be better than other people's because my free content's already better than a lot of other people's. And I didn't say that as any shade or tea. It's a goal that I have. I have a goal of saying, I believe that I can deliver high quality, valuable free information, but I do think that my paywall information is even better. And the main reason I'll tell you, and I always tell you guys straight up, algorithmless information is going to be different. It's going to hit different. I can do a completely different job of presenting and approaching something when I don't have to ever give a crap about social media algorithm and I don't have to worry about packaging it in that way. I think for those of you who have read my book, you also now understand what I get to do when there's no algorithm involved. Those of you who have been in the membership group, for the pro group for awesomecreatoracademy.com, not the YouTube membership, but my own website membership, those of you who've done that, seen what I do behind a paywall, you all know better. You all know that it's not that I'm holding back in my free content. It's that I'm playing the cards that social media gives you, and the way you have to deal with the culture, the platform, and the way that social media audiences deal with things are very different than the way a buyer deals with things. One big part of it is that in a paywalled ecosystem or in a book or a course, there's no distraction. There's no viral video on the sidebar. There's no video to click away to that's, oh, hey, look at this dancing cat. Hey, look at Mr. Beast do this. Hey, look at this free giveaway. Hey, don't you want free stuff? Like there's none of those distractions when you have a pure learning environment with paywalled content. That is a significant difference that a lot of people take for granted. So again, my goal is always just to kind of make what I think is the most actionable, valuable advice. And whether it's free or paid, it's going to be the best that I know how to do. I'm just going to have to cater to the platform, though, to some degree. And that's the difference. Deanna says, hey, wow, Roberto, could you do a workshop on the prompts needed to give AI to be a better editor? I might be able to do a workshop on productivity prompts in ChatGPT. Instead, so productivity prompts, and we do have a AI creator prompts resource that I made. Let me see if I pull that for you guys. We have it in the description. So in the description, we have a $9 product. It's only $9, and as my ChatGPT creator prompts, what I will do for you guys is this week, I will add the update on a copy editor prompt, the one that I read you. I will add some copy editor prompts, including the ones that I read you earlier. But here is creator AI prompts for ChatGPT. So my creator prompts for ChatGPT is a $9 product, and it has the prompts already written for you. It has over 100 prompts for ChatGPT already written for you guys. So I'm linking that in the chat. It's already linked in the description. And so you guys can check that out and see if that helps you. But you see how good I am at prompt engineering. So I think like paying $9 and getting a handful of my advanced prompts, totally worth it probably. So make sure you guys are checking that out. Ask the Teen says, does Amazon Publishing offer the book on other platforms with the expanded? All right, so with the expanded program, there is a contract where technically, this is technically, Amazon technically offers that kind of reach. However, and this is very important. There are caveats when it comes to that in terms of the deal that you get. I'm trying to see where they have that information for you. So just give me a moment. But basically, when it comes to that, their distribution model, Amazon prioritizes its own distribution model, kind of like you could argue Google does. So they say they do, but I don't fully buy it, which is why I used Ingram Spark in addition to Amazon. And there's not a, you can always do that, by the way. You can always do that. So that's the deal is that, and I also opted out of Amazon's exclusivity deal to give me more options as well. I still did the 70-30 split. But yeah, I decided to go that route. And then I was like, okay, if I want to expand my distribution, I'll just add Ingram Spark to my workflow. Brianna Fleming. Hey, what's up? Another author in the house, also another member of the Awesome Creator Academy Pro Group. Hey, Roberto. So in your opinion, are there any prerequisites before we consider writing a book? So in terms of writing a book, in terms of prerequisites, I don't have a lot of caveats on this. I don't gatekeep writing. I think that writing is beautiful. I think that reading is beautiful. There are some people that feel the need to gatekeep this. I do not. But what I will say is I think that's worth putting yourself through some type of creative writing workshop or online course or in-person community college course. When I was in college, community college, mind you, my favorite class was creative writing. And when I was in high school, I loved English class. I didn't always love my English teachers, but I loved English class and I loved writing. I loved my writing assignments in English class. When I was even in high school, I was trying to write a fantasy book and become the next Tolkien. Once I've knocked off like, my trilogy or maybe 6 or so business creator economy books, maybe in my later or mid 40s, I might revisit writing my great epic fantasy novel series in the vein of J.R. Tolkien, George R. R. Martin, Terry Goodkind. But I think I keep debating whether writing my fantasy works under my own name or under a pen name, even if I let people know it's me later, just not to, cross the streams on the brands, just not to contaminate the brands. I feel like to some degree, if I write under a pen name, even though I could just let people know, yeah, it's me writing as this, it's just a way to not have the overlap of like, wait, is this the right guy? Is this the guy that helps creators or is this guy somebody else? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you can be more than one thing, but I think it becomes confusing for your audience. But my favorite authors are people like David Gemmell, George R. R. Martin, J.R. Tolkien, Brian Sanderson, Michelle Segarra, Elizabeth Hayden, Gail Z. Martin. These are like some of my favorite fantasy authors. Maria V. Snyder from the study series Poison Study was the first book I read from her before she published the other one. So I got it when it was like new. So it's like I love the study series Poison Study from Maria V. Snyder. Elizabeth Hayden's Symphony of Ages, Rhapsody. I remember reading like the first 40 pages of that when I worked at the bookstore as a teenager. Went back, bought the trilogy because at that time it was only a trilogy. Now it's 9 books and it finishes the Symphony of Ages. But I was like, okay, 46 pages in, they've managed now I remember reading this book like from Elizabeth Hayden. It's called Rhapsody. It's part of the first book of the Symphony of Ages and the first trilogy of it, Rhapsody. I remember reading like the first 46 pages of this and immediately getting over almost all of my heartbreak in the world, believing in love and romance again. And it's not a romance novel. It's like it's kind of more of a tragedy of circumstance novel. But I now became emotionally invested in the main characters and had to know how their story plays out, and whether or not these star-crossed lovers are ever going to see each other again. Need to know whether the cataclysm, the doom of the island is going to go down. Needing to know what happens in the future, separated across time and space. Like, I needed to know. I was invested reading this. So I think at the time I was like 18, 19, getting over a heartbreak. And this book, I ended up reading this book, and it's everything. It has assassins. It has assassins, magic, dragons, to, in a weird way, time travel. Believe it or not, it's like okay, all the things, let's go. So I fell in love with Elizabeth Hayden's series. She became quickly one of my favorite authors. David Gemmell is one of the greatest in high epic fantasy. I think every young man should read Gemmell, especially if you need men to have realistic but positive role models, but also understand the dangers of not having emotional control, not having a code of honor and ethics. Gemmell is perfect. And it's not always a happy ending with him. It's very realistic. It's not grimdark, but there's always a silver lining with him. But he always hints that it's like, peace doesn't last forever, you guys. Always be vigilant. Like, so Gemmell is great. I was really sad when he passed away, but he's written like, I think 22 books. Terry Goodkind, Sword of Truth novels. Those got me through a dark time. Really loved those. Became obsessed with that. I am still catching up on a lot of stuff from Michelle Segarra, but I love her series. Fantastical world building on her part. Brandon Sanderson and his Mistborn series enraptured me, and now I'm reading everything he's ever wrote. So that's fantastic. So what prerequisites are there to be a writer? I would say be someone who's an avid reader is a good one. Be someone who's an avid reader. Have respect for the craft of writing and try to do everything you can to improve and learn about it. Maybe take some type of creative writing class to be able to stretch your mind into exercise and to get peer review and feedback in real time. And I think that would be about really all the prerequisites I would have for someone thinking about writing a book. I think you have to know who your audience is for the book. I think you have to really be thoughtful about the title of the book and how people are going to understand the book. Brianne, me and you have talked about your book and the direction I think you should go in. I think that you should have a great outline for your book. And one of the reasons I'm a big fan of having the outline for the book pretty solid or mostly fleshed out is if you're me, you get to lock yourself in a room for 100 days, and then you can just pick a chapter and write and work on the chapter that you're passionate about that day. And then you can just go in between the chapters and write the ones that you're passionate about. This works if you're doing nonfiction books, by the way. If you're doing fiction, then to some degree, the biggest part of fiction is your outline should be more about the plot points of the story, definitive beginning, middle, and end. And the idea of, is there a story is this a self-contained story? And if you want to expand the world and go deeper into the story, have you not painted yourself into a corner? And so one of the things also is respect and have respect the feedback of your readers. One of the things I loved about Gemmell is he wrote a book that he thought was a one-off book. And then a fan wrote him a letter, and it said, yeah. And so when's the next Jon Snow adventure coming out? And then he's like, no, Jon Snow's dead. I killed Jon Snow at the end of the book, didn't I? And then Gemmell wondered, and he had this thought. He's like, I don't think I did I? In his own mind, he killed off the character, but the way he wrote it suggested that is a matter of interpretation for the reader. And he respected that there were readers who did not believe that Snow died. So then he wrote, after writing, this was his book, Wolf in Shadow, mind you. And so then after that, he wrote The Last Guardian and decided that, Snow was dying, but did not die. He had the will and desire to live. And then he created a circumstance that wasn't that contrived, wherein Snow survives and then goes on another adventure in The Last Guardian. And it was really good. So that was part of his Stones of Power Cycles books. So very great epic fantasy. I digress. My point is you have to have a degree of respect for the relationship between the reader and the creator. wherein you're willing to accept some feedback and the fact that you may not always know the world that you create as well as you think you do. And the world that you take your audience to might manifest in ways beyond your original intent. And so once you share your world with the reader, that becomes a part of them as well. And they get to, in some ways, contribute to this world. And it's not only something that belongs to you anymore. You may be the person who created the world, but you're not the only one who lives in it anymore. So I think that having that thoughtfulness and that respect for the reader and realize that it's an invitation, you've invited them to a world of your creation, but now you're sharing that world with them. And so it's a shared world. That becomes important to me. And when I feel that authors respect that relationship, I think it's felt in the reading. I think that, you can feel it and that's there. So, yeah. So Jared has a question. Jared says, Roberto, what are your thoughts on selling low content books, journals, notebooks, planners via Amazon KDP as a monetization strategy? I have no issue with this as long as they're legitimate low content books, meaning if the utility and uniqueness is there, and if you've also built something substantive that they will be sourced off of, like for example, I don't think any of you would have a problem if I made a workbook as a companion book to create something awesome, or if I made a specialty planner for content creators that kind of also gave you prompts for idea generation and planning and some things in there to help you plan and structure your content. I don't think that if I made a journal-like product for content creators that also kind of prompted you for ideation, that any of you would have a problem with that in me doing it, because it would make sense for you and it has actual genuine utility. So low content books shouldn't just be about, oh, I can monetize. Here's another product. Here's another SKU. Here's another ISBN for me. Yay. Low content books, they can be low content and high value. So if you're going to do low content books, low content, high value. And that value is utility. It's the function that the thing serves and the uniqueness of that function. So that's how I would approach it. Is I would probably want to make planners and workbooks for content creators that offer something that it makes sense in terms of being an organizational tool and an ideation tool that is genuinely helpful and thoughtful. For a journal-like thing, I might feel that there's some value in, the year of the creator. And doing a journal like that, that's the year of the creator, where a creator can log their experiences to reflect. And so that can be a thing. Brooklyn Beach Beauty says nom de plume. Actually, I believe it would be nom de guerre. It would be nom de plume. I believe it'd be nom de guerre, but I could be wrong. Leslie Moore says, a good writer can make you believe anything, and they wield a pen so well that they can convince you that anything is real. I would agree with that. I like that. Yep. Oh, some of you are fans of Rhapsody, and some of you are fans of my boy David Gemmell. Yeah. One day, in addition to all the craziness that I have going on, if you guys have not been following me on x.com, formerly Twitter, you should be. To see my library, and I'll do a video library tour, but I've been showing you guys my library build project. Me and my brother built my library in the basement. It's great. We love it. We love spending time down there. We have a wine, tea, and coffee bar down there in addition to all the bookcases, 5 bookcases, probably over 1,000 books in there. It's this wonderful project, and it's great. It's also a great writing space for me. So really enjoying that. But one day, I cannot swear to this, I have an overwhelming temptation to make a booktube channel in addition to all the other nonsense I'm doing. I have an overwhelming temptation to do that as a hobby, and I cannot swear to you that it will ever happen, but if it ever happens, do not be surprised that Roberto just decides to go and make a booktube channel just for fun. Yes, I'll try and get it monetized because it's me we're talking about, but don't ever be shocked if I do a booktube channel instead of business books that I finally geek out on all the fantasy books that I'm reading and my favorite authors and stuff like that. just do not be surprised if that happens. Don't be surprised if I ever do book reviews of all the classic literature that ever featured on Wishbone when I was a kid. Don't be shocked if that happens one day. I can't swear to it, but I'm crazy enough to do it. And I did spend a lot of money building my library, so I might as well make the money back, right? So that's a thing. Leslyn Moore says, correct, please make that workbook and planner will be nice as well. Yeah, I could see that. Yes, a companion workshop. Mm-hmm. Yep. Some agreement on the reader and writer relationship. Deanne says, yeah, things have changed in the last 20 years. There's no more monolith of the writer being the god of the land in a series of stories. To some degree, I would say that's true. Astatine says, I know you don't have a TM on your book cover image. Clearly, your book is copyrighted, but why not TM your name/logo? I myself am getting stuck on legalese like that. Trademarks are pending. Trademarks are pending. Trademarks cost money, and they take time to get. That's all. That's all that is. I need to get the book out, and I didn't have time to wait on all the nonsense. Brianne says, my goal is to send you my book one day to add to your library. Thank you for all the inspo. Yeah, no problem. Appreciate you. And I appreciate all the 420 plus of you across all 6 of the social media platforms. I believe there's over 150 of you watching live in YouTube right now. So thank you to everybody for tuning into tonight's workshop, especially since we're doing something super, super late night because I couldn't get to it earlier in the day. So the nom de plume, the feather quill pen equals the pseudonym for authors. Nom de guerre, an assumed name under which a person engages in combat or some other activity or enterprise. Okay, so both could apply. Both could apply. I knew I wasn't messing up my French. Oh, if I do a booktube channel, you're all in. You do that? Oh, great. Yep. Do it if your heart desires it. Yep. James says, hey, Roberto, I appreciate how you focus on careers with families. The full-time dad in me appreciates the support. Yeah, no problem, James. Technically, it depends on how far you are in the with the TM stuff, because technically the registered trademark, you'll have the R rather than the TM. But that it's just a matter of the difference of where I am in the process versus when I published. And also, I'd have to update the cover if I want to go that route. I may not bother. We'll see. Abaddon Smith says, I appreciate your dedication, bro. Absolutely. So let me see. I want to make sure that I've covered everything you guys need to cover. So we talked about writing your book and using Google Docs and using things like Grammarly, Hemingway, and Quillbot to help you as the assistant writing and making things more concise, structuring it properly, spelling and grammatical errors. So Grammarly, Quillbot, and Hemingway are available. Hemingway is free. Grammarly and Quillbot cost money, so you can use that. We talked about using ChatGPT as a copy editor and as a potential help with title generation and helping with your outline. So I'm going to add some stuff to the creator prompts tool for you guys around that. So we talked about that. We talked about hiring a designer. I showed you the back end of payments and stuff with Amazon KDP. We showed you the setup for Amazon KDP. We showed you buying ISBN numbers with Bowker. We talked about Ingram Spark versus Amazon. We talked about ACX for Audible and the audio publishing. I showed you guys samples of how my audio files are coming out for that. What else did we talk about? And is there anything else we need to cover? We covered the importance of doing outlines, the book writing process, locking yourself in your room for 100 days and writing. We talked about that. Let's see. Just trying to make sure that we covered all of our bases here. We covered marketing your book and the importance of pre-orders and podcast and sales. The word says, question, Roberto, thoughts on the importance of layout inside of the book? Thank you. Yeah, internal design, I like, which is why I believe in hiring a professional designer if you're not one yourself or if you don't have the time. What do you think of Novel Crafter? Not familiar with Novel Crafter, so I don't have an opinion on it since I've never heard of it. And there are templates out there. There are templates out there for the internals if you're trying to do it yourself. So that's for sure. Let's see. We covered reviews. You definitely want to make sure that you set up what's called Amazon Author Central. So you want to set that up. And on the back end of Amazon Author Central, you can view things like customer reviews, your ranks. You can set up your author profile that will be on your Amazon author page. And so then when you click on the Amazon author page, it has these things. So like, oh, you can follow this person, and here are the versions of their book, and here is, all these things, so on and so forth. Customers also bought items by, and hey, look, it's most of my homies plus one or two people I admire. So friend Sean Cannell and Benji Travis here, friend Pat Flynn, Daryl Eves, someone I admire, Dan Coe. So yeah, so it's like, I'm in a rogues gallery, I'm like by association, so that's great. And so your full author bio, you have all those things, your about section, your author profile picture. For me, I thought it was important for my author profile picture to show me with my silver play button. So you see good lighting, good sharpness, tack sharp. Silver play button is my social proof. So some authors just do the classic, oh, I'm going to sit here moody in black and take a picture. I wanted to be animated, smiling, fit, and I wanted to show my social proof. And so for me, it's my YouTube silver play button. That's the thing that content creators understand, acknowledge, respect, and desire. So I wanted that social proof to be there. That's why it's also in the back of my book for the book cover is in there. Again, wildly practical in terms of social proof. So if you have social proof of some kind, maybe you utilize it. Let's see. Another marketing thing for you to know there. Also, don't just get reviews on Amazon. Encourage reviews on Amazon, but encourage reviews in Goodreads as well. For Goodreads, I also did a bunch of giveaways of my book. Between Goodreads and physical copies, we've given away over 500 copies of my book so far. So something to consider. Excuse me. So yeah, if you guys don't have any other major questions, this one can be a shorter workshop and we can kind of bookmark it here because I think I covered the main things that I wanted to cover about self-publishing. Like I said, you can do this if you use templates and you use stuff. You can do this for cheap or free. You can do this for cheap or free. A lot of the free tools. And again, I'll probably make some kind of 10, 20-minute video about self-publishing, but I wanted to get you guys questions answered, take you through the nitty-gritty, show you the back end. But like I said, I'll probably do some like kind of 20-minute or so video around this topic, 15 or 20-minute beginning to end, or 6 steps video or something like that, like how to self-publish in 6 easy steps, like 6 simple steps, something like that, at some point here in the near future, to just kind of consolidate this information. The main things were, writing your book, having your outline, coming up with all of that, having the internal and cover design and those things, the different formats, pricing and publishing, and having your ISBN number, marketing it, getting your pre-orders done, and continuing to then get reviews and feedback of the book once it's out in the wild. Working at templates and layouts for cover art. It's not going to be cover art that you really get the templates for. It's going to be the internals and everything like that. Cover art, you still going to kind of need to make that cover art. You kind of like, there might be some templates for it. Maybe look in Adobe stock, but if you do that, you're gonna have to pay more than just your monthly subscription for it or your $10 for it. You're gonna have to buy an extended license because you are selling the thing. So you might have to buy an extended license for it to cover you for selling so many copies of your book if it does well. Yeah. Ayesha says, Roberto, not sure if you mentioned this previously. If so, I'm sorry, but is there anything you would do differently to market a coloring book or same things you mentioned earlier? For a coloring book, and one of my best friends actually did this. She published a children's book and a coloring book of the children's book. The main things you would want to do for that is the podcasting isn't necessarily going to help you too much. So the main thing with that is actually to spend a little bit of money on Amazon ads, believe it or not. Amazon ads are really cheap and affordable. And if you're doing a children's coloring book, you want to spend on Amazon ads. You also want to pick your keywords wisely. Yes, there is the KDP cover creator, and they do have idea templates in there. So that may not be too bad. Do you get Amazon ad rev for showing their page? Not really. Not really. But again, what you really want is you want the book royalties for your sales. What you really want is the book royalties for your sales, and which one is the affiliate revenue for using your own affiliate link for the book sales. So that's the direction you really want to go in. Yeah. I mean, I can do a whole video on all the ways you can make money with Amazon as well. That's like another how to make passive income from Amazon. Oh, Amazon Kindle ebooks, audiobooks, print on demand books, low content books. Oh, Amazon influencer program. Oh, Amazon live streaming. Oh, here is Amazon merch, being an Amazon reseller. Like there's probably like 10 ways to make money on Amazon. It's like 10 ways to make money on Amazon. So that's probably going to be like a video that I do at some point is like 10 ways to make money on Amazon. Passive income, 10 ways to make money on Amazon. That's probably a good video title. So I can get into that. And I've done most of them. So yeah. So it's like, ebooks, print books, audiobooks, Kindle novella program. Then you have the Amazon influencer program, merch by Amazon, Amazon reseller. What else? The Amazon live streaming. So you definitely got that. I don't think I said merch by Amazon. Yeah. So you got like 10 ways you can make money on Amazon, like pretty straightforward. So yeah, that's actually a good video idea. Yep. Let's see here. Let me just make sure there's nothing else that I want to cover with you guys real quick. I think we literally covered everything that you need to know. I would say the other thing is encourage your community.
Create something awesome by
encourage your community to because like I've done this here. Encourage your community to leave reviews, especially video reviews of your book. I mean, the fact that there are people who literally have done like video reviews speaks highly like to my book, and people show that they have it in hand. The fact that so many people who have bought my book are verified, and that goes a long way. And so when people see that, it matters and they care about it. And the fact that these are like real like human beings, and that you can kind of source and see like who they are, and that they took the time to make videos. Yeah, that goes gangbusters. And then on top of that, something else I did was there's a lot of the ability to preview and sample inside of my book. I think it's important for you guys to do that, because then people get a sense of what the book is and can decide if they want to buy it or not, especially being able to read the chapters ahead of time. So that becomes incredibly important and powerful for your book, and compelling. The fact that they get to see a little bit of the end of the book here, and that I have an appendix, that's like, incredible for them to go, oh, wow. And he has more resources for creators, and is like so thoughtful. So that, that goes a long way, I think, personally. Oh, excuse me, making sure you enable features for your book. In Google Play, which I don't have up here for you guys to see or whatever, but in Google Play, I think I made 30 or 40% of my book readable in Google Play, which means people can get like read a third of my book for free and really understand whether or not they should buy it or not, or whether it's for them. So like, there's really not an excuse for someone to not know what to expect from the book. Jameson says, hey, Roberto, great rollout with the B-roll with OpusClip. Not book related, but just wanted to give your sponsor a shout out. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. The word says, Roberto, did you speak on the process of creating an audiobook for your brand, hard copy, and how to connect them? Yes, it's on the back end for Amazon, and I did show that earlier if you watched the replay, but I also did go into ACX here. And so we definitely talked about audio with ACX. And so how, for me, it's an ACX project for the book. There's a completely different layout for the book cover for audio as a square format, which my designer Marco did for me. And so we have that cover art. And then we have these different format guidelines that we talked about in Audible. Oh, excuse me. So we did that, and then, as a result of that, we have the different chapters here that would be uploaded, and I played sample files of what I have so far for the audio, like the retail sample and stuff like that. So we did that so you guys know kind of what to expect from the audio version from me from Audible.
What is the creator economy? This is a fair question for anyone who might be reading this book on a whim or is unfamiliar with my content. Let's start with a straightforward explanation of what it means to work as a content creator and how creators make their living.
So, yep, there you go. Yeah, Leslyn says she has to drop off. Yeah, in general, I'm going to probably drop off here in a second. Colette has a question. Hey, Roberto, do you have any resources for creating self-published comic book? It'd be great. It'd be geared toward adults. For self-published comic book, I don't really have resources on that. I'd have to look into someone who might, but no, I personally do not have resources on a self-published comic book. But that is an interesting question. I probably could ask Josh from Nerd Vengers, because he'd probably know. So, yeah, but Nerd Vengers, Josh, he would know out of all people. Yeah, so Nerd Vengers and Den of Nerds, Josh, he published a comic book self-published called Unity. He launched it via Kickstarter. So he probably would be the person to ask. Yep. But anyway, that's probably going to be it for today, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on this workshop. We got this one in under 2 hours, and it's almost midnight over here, so that's actually a good thing. Thank you again to our sponsors, our good friends over at Streamyard, letting us live stream across multiple platforms. Easiest thing in streaming and podcasting for you guys, so make sure you're checking out Streamyard. Link in the description down below. We have our friends at OpusClip, perfect for repurposing using AI tools, AI B-roll, and automated captions, animated automated captions. So check out our friends at OpusClip. And thank you to our friends at Kajabi, making sure we're not digital sharecroppers out here and helping us build our own platforms where we can sell our products and services for coaching, courses, communities, and more. So make sure you're checking out our friends at Kajabi. Free trials to all of these are linked in the description down below. So thank you to our wonderful sponsors. Also, make sure you're checking out my products over at awesomecreatoracademy.com. And of course, that you're checking out the book. For anybody interested in the book, I'm going to link to it here in the chat. If you haven't bought it already, make sure you check it out. Support the book. Let me know what you think. So that's going to be robertoblake.com/go/book. So make sure you're checking that out using my Amazon affiliate link. And one of the other smart things you can do is when you have a book is have a banner. Now, this needs to say order instead of pre-order, so I need to update that. But yeah, you can order my book on Amazon. It's not pre-order. You can actually order it. So it's there. Bada boom. And I just linked it in the chat. Should be linked in the description down below. So if you do enjoy it, make sure you give it a read and give me a glowing review in Amazon. And that would be dope. And in Goodreads. I need those in Goodreads. So hopefully you guys got a lot of value out of this. I've enjoyed spending some time with you guys this evening. And what we will also do is we will now end the workshop with the trailer for my book. So make sure you're checking that out. Stay awesome, and I will catch you guys next time. I finally did it. I finished my book, Create Something Awesome, How Content Creators Are Profiting from Their Passion in the Creator Economy. The book is available now in paperback and in Kindle, where you can read it on any e-reader or device. And I'm really excited about this. The audiobook is coming soon, probably October 2022. Oh my God, it's so great to be able to have this book done, put it up on the bookshelf, and to know that all of you who appreciate it, you want to hear what I have to say about the creator economy, becoming a full-time content creator, and what the experience and lifestyle of being a content creator actually is like. This is the book. I put 20 chapters in here of the most important things I think that content creators could be focusing on today. I talk about the mental health aspect of being a content creator, getting discouraged, imposter syndrome, not charging what you're worth, and mostly actionable advice around monetizing your content properly, but also how to build an audience on your authenticity and what it's really like to start from zero, even today. So if you're interested, make sure you're checking out the book. You can order it on Amazon. You also probably order it in a lot of other places like Barnes & Noble, and it will be coming to other bookstores soon. Really excited about it. Thank you for all the support and love around the book and the positive reviews. Now go ahead and pick it up and make sure you go out there and create something awesome today. Take care.